Howdy, folks, and welcome back. We've got another great time here with Kevin Bachelder, fellow Warning fan, Warning Army member. And I brought Kevin here because I just got back from two pretty wonderful concerts to see the Warning. On October 8th, I believe it was, I saw them in Pomona on Tuesday, October 8th. That's in the LA area. And then a few days later, on Friday, the 11th of October, I got to see them perform at Aftershock on the main stage, which is, I believe, the main stage, the Jack Daniels stage. And I believe it's the main stage because the headliner for the concert for that day performed there. So I figured that's the main stage. And I wanted to talk a bit about those experiences. I mean, the trip down to LA was great. Not only did I get to see the Warning, and I got to see them in a moderately sized venue, but I got to meet with an old gaming buddy I haven't met in person in 20 years. So that's great. And then, of course, the festival atmosphere of Aftershock was wonderful as well. So anyway, Kevin, in case folks don't remember, Kevin is one of my co-hosts on the Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV podcast. Also a big Warning fan. And Kevin, any other introductions you want to give for yourself, or tell folks what you're doing right now, or where they can find you?
No, I think you covered it well. We're doing a Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV podcast, where a lot of my content would be as the audio variety. Otherwise, like you said, just always appreciative of you for introducing me to the Warning now. So, I'll always owe you one there.
Yeah, and we also, in case you don't know, on our channel, Kevin and I did a couple of other videos together. One where we ranked the Keep Me Fed songs. That was fun. And then another one where I interviewed him about his first seeing the Warning for the first time live at Boston at the beginning of their North American tour. So, Kevin, I could go on and on and on, but I wonder if you have any questions for me about the concerts that I attended.
Well, yeah, I mean, a few things run through my head as a fellow fan, knowing that you got to, as you described, see them three different places. I'm curious; those are all radically different size locations. Kind of, how did that impact you as a fan?
Well, I'll tell you this. The first one you're talking about, three. I mentioned two, but everybody knows, I think, if they've been watching the channel, that I also got to see them at that private pre-album release party at the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA. I won the contest to go see them, and that was wonderful. It felt more intimate to me. I think the capacity of the Whiskey is just a little bit under Pomona. It's not that different. But it felt more intimate because luckily the person that I went with, my guest, held a spot at the beginning of the line, so I got to go right up front, and I got to stand right in front of Alejandra on her bass, and it was just amazing to watch her. I've talked many times about how I stupidly didn't realize that I should probably bring earplugs, and my head was blown off, literally, to the point where I could really not even clearly hear the music anymore. But I just kind of changed my approach on that one and just focused on them, especially Alejandra, because Ali was right in front of me. But I was able to see everybody and enjoy watching them perform up close, knowing that I would probably never get that opportunity again. Not because they won't perform somewhere where you can get up close to the stage. I'm sure they will. But I'll never get up close to the stage. I'll never get to the front of the line and be able to get up that close again. So I really enjoyed that. And it felt, like I said, much more smaller and intimate to me. And it was just a totally different experience. The Pomona one was, I think, a slightly bigger venue, if I remember correctly. And my cat is playing with things in my office, which is great because he's making all kinds of noise. So I'm going to have to kick him out pretty soon. But it was a slightly bigger venue. I came to the venue not at the end of the, kind of in the middle of the line, essentially. A lot of people came in after me. A lot of people came in before me. So I positioned myself back center from the stage, which I thought would be a pretty cool place to be. And I did record a few clips, and I even released a video on my channel called the Set List, Pomona Set List, which has tiny little clips of each song from where I was. And it was a much better experience. Not only did I bring my earplugs this time, but I was able to hear the songs. The only interesting thing, and I got to say this I was thinking about this on the way back. It's that I would not trade going to these shows for anything. But if you really are, if you're a fan and you care about listening to the music and watching them perform live and hearing what they're saying and enjoying it all, I got to be a little controversial and say you should probably just stick to watching the live videos on YouTube, because when you're in person, it's not quite the same because everything's pretty loud. If you want to hear like Danny talking, because she interacts with the audience a lot, I had to like quickly reach up and pull my earplugs out so I could actually hear her, because when she's talking, it's really muffled in the earplugs, and I couldn't clearly understand what she was saying. So it makes it a bit of a chore. But if you like the social aspect of it, and those who've been fans of our podcast, and Kevin knows this, I'm not terribly a social person, but if you're really into the social aspects, absolutely go to a live concert. There's no getting around that. You meet a lot of people who are fans, and you get to watch everybody enjoying it just like you do. And I did get some of that, even though I'm not a very social person. I enjoyed quite a bit of that. But literally, if you're going to one of these live concerts and you've never been one before, because I'm fairly new to live concerts, rock concerts, period. The Whiskey was my very first rock concert ever, and it was only like my second concert ever. And the first one was a ballet, so which had music, so it's not quite the same. But if you've never gone to these and you're going to listen to the music clearly and enjoy it, just like on the videos on YouTube, you're not going to get that experience. It's not quite the same, unless you've got super hearing that I don't know about. But yeah, it was really difficult. But the Aftershock was a third type, and I was lucky enough to get VIP passes, not the kind that let you meet and greet. I didn't get those. I don't think they had meet and greet there, but they might have. But I was able to go into a VIP area, which was had a lot of trees and benches and things. It was really nice. You could sit down. You can enjoy the experience. It was right next to the Jack Daniel's stage. So I actually positioned myself back a bit. There are two banks of massive speakers at this particular festival, and I was back, but not quite back enough to get to the second bank of speakers. So I was back like I don't know how many rows, but I was back a ways. And I also videoed some of those performances that are available on my channel. And I was able to hear the performance clearly, beautifully. Did not even need my earplugs. I didn't even put them on during the festival. It was perfect. I could see them up there. They were pretty far away, so they were little. But I also had two big screens on either side. So I was able to see clearly when Danny was talking, the camera would be on her and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that experience, not only because I could hear it clearly without the earplugs, but also because it was outdoors. It felt, there was a nice breeze that day. It didn't feel too hot. It was in the shade, and there were I got to see a ton of people. I met some relatives of mine who came. My niece and her daughter came, and I managed to talk to them and convince them to go watch The Warning when they performed, and they said they would, and they did. I also got to see a ton of people pouring in. I don't know if I don't think I captured it on the video, but it was a cool experience as a Warning fan to see all of these people at this massive festival just completely fill up, and they filled up through the first bank, second bank of speakers, all the way to like the back extreme of the space in front of the stage. Just filled up as the concert began. Even more of them were pouring in to hear these ladies perform. So it was a really cool experience to see all these fans. I'm sure most of them new fans. And I know that because as I was waiting for the band to get ready to go, I was there looking at, like I said, that position just to the side of the stage. And I saw about, 20 rows of people that had gathered from like the moment the last band finished, which was like 30 minutes before this, or they were there the whole time. And they had Warning gear on and Warning shirts. Those were the hardcore fans, and they were there the whole time. So I knew all these people coming along after the band started. They were probably new fans, and there's so many of them, and it was exciting to see. So I've got to see them at an intimate venue, a normal club-size venue, and an outdoor festival. I'm missing, I think, an arena, which they tend to do only in Mexico unless they're opening for somebody right now. So they've got some arenas in Mexico and or theater, those bigger venues, and then a stadium, which I guess they'll get to someday as an opener. They've done it as a opening, as a mainlining act. They haven't done it yet. So when those two happen, when I have those two opportunities, I'll go to those two. But I'm content right now, mostly because I'm not a super social person, as you've said, as you know, as I've said, and I also do enjoy listening to the music a lot and hearing them. So the video stuff's a little better for me for that regard. But I'm glad I went. I'm absolutely glad I went to these events. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. That was very long-winded, though.
No, it was a long-winded in terms of talking about the differences, and that's why I was very curious, how the size would impact those of us who've seen enough concerts, and especially indoor venues. You're right, the acoustics can dramatically be impacted by, whether or not you're focusing very much on the musicianship side of it, or, as you said, just hearing the band members be able to carry on a conversation. That can be difficult at some, especially smaller spots that are just loud by their nature. It doesn't mean, like you said, you don't enjoy them greatly. I mean, that's one of the things I love about those smaller venues is the energy, the crowd energy, and the band energy. Yeah. Being able to literally feel that when you're at a smaller spot, which sometimes it's hard to pick that up in the bigger ones. But that's why it's great that you were able to see them at those varying size spots. I mean, it's interesting. And like you said, any other thoughts too? You touched on it a little bit, but being at the different physical distances from the band, did that give you different feelings for as you were watching things?
Well, I was, as I said, at 3 dramatically different positions. And I've talked about the one being up at the stage where it's like impossible to really hear. You just feel the music. You don't really hear it. The middle of the stage was I think the most familiar experience to other people who've been to a live concert of The Warning, because I think I got what those people really get. Most people get at concerts, like what you got at Boston, probably felt the same, because you were kind of middle back of the pack too. The outdoor one, I don't.
I'd be curious on the outdoor one because they're not headlining. There's a ton of bands, and it is outdoors. There's not that. I don't know how to describe it, but it's having done enough times myself too. Sometimes I find it a little harder to really emotionally attach to what's going on. I don't know if you felt that or.
I get it because I could tell the people in the front were just going nuts, and I was in the back just enjoying the music. It was a different kind of experience. So I think I had those 3 levels of experience, both of intimacy, because the third one I was further back. I wasn't even close enough to really get a good look at them. I mean, I could see them up there. They were, the size of like little Lego figures on the stage from where I was. But the second one I could see them clearly, but in the middle of the pack. And in the first one I was like looking up at them. So I mean, that's how clear it was. But it did impact my appreciation a little bit. The first one was, if I had been prepared for the first one being up that close, I think it would have been far more enjoyable. It was already really enjoyable. I don't want to give people the wrong impression. It was enjoyable for a different reason. It was enjoyable because I got the experience of being there right next to them. I could see them. I could watch Ali's fingers doing magic on the bass. It was just amazing what she was doing. So I really enjoyed that, but I think I could have enjoyed the music better if I had been prepared for that one. The second one, I think I enjoyed probably the most, just because combination of being prepared this time and being in a position where I could easily see everything at once, and also could interact more with the crowd. I could see the crowd in front of me. At the Whiskey, I couldn't see the crowd in front of me because there was no crowd in front of me. I could occasionally look backwards and see the crowd, and I could definitely hear the crowd behind me because I had no ear protection. And when they would scream, wow, my ears would be blown again. They'd start bleeding almost. But the second one I think I enjoyed more because I get to see the crowd reaction more, but I also still got to be close enough to really experience the band and see them clearly. The third one I enjoyed, but I enjoyed it for a different reason. I enjoyed it for selfish reasons, probably because I am not a very social person. So being able to be kind of back and off to the side underneath the tree was perfect for me. I was still there with them as they were performing. It was a smaller set, as you said. There weren't the headliners. Everybody got a smaller set. They played for about 35 minutes, something like that. But The Warning, they cram their songs in. It's like a boom, 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 boom. They just go, 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 go. So they got a lot of songs in, but it was smaller than Pomona. It was about the size of the Whiskey set, actually, which was also a small set. So I enjoyed each one for different reasons. If that's what you say, it did change my perception. Your question was, did it affect the way I don't know if it was enjoyment, the word you used, but in my perception. And it did. But they were all enjoyable for totally different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, given the chance in the future, if it's not a stadium opportunity, and there's one of each of these kind, which one are you going to pick? Go back to?
One of these three would I go back to? If I had to choose for my own selfish reasons, probably the festival, just because it's not as social. Even though that's a weird thing to say because the festival's crowded. I mean, that thing had I don't know how many people attended that, but it felt like tens of thousands. It felt amazing how many people were walking around. But where I was, it felt like I was away from the crowd. I joke when I say the festival for selfish reasons. Probably a mid-sized club, mid to large-sized club, kind of like Pomona, like the Glass House at Pomona. That seems like the most ideal venue for a show from the Warning, to my mind. So if I had to go to another one, I'd probably go to one of those. I personally am kind of content right now. I know that that's kind of blasphemy for a Warning fan to say, what? You don't want to go to every live concert you can go to of the Warning, every live performance you can? No, I don't, because I got to experience them, and I love their live performances that have been recorded. And I'm happy to wait for the next opportunity to come to me instead of me going to an opportunity. So if they come to a mid-sized club, kind of like the Glass House, but here locally that I could drive to, yeah, I'll buy a ticket. I'll go to it. Absolutely. If it's another 6-8 hour drive to get there, probably not. I'm content. I'm happy.
No, and that's why, and music is such a personal experience. That's why I'm curious, which one fits you. That's when folks really get the most out of a show, is finding that style that fits them personally with that enjoyment. So that's why it's kind of cool. I mean, yeah. And you mentioned too, another one of my questions you touched on is the set lists being different. What was that like, going from the smaller to the larger and then back down to the smaller list?
Okay, let's go back to the whiskey. The whiskey, first of all, again, I have the caveat here that I didn't really hear any of it, but I just kind of felt it all. It was an explosion in my face. But it was every Keep Me Fed song that had already been released. The only thing they debuted at the whiskey was 6 Feet Deep as their opening song. And then they ended with Evolve, which is currently they're always their closer, right? That and Narcisista are their closers. And we got that at the Glass House in Pomona. They went off stage, everybody called for them to come back, they came back, they played Narcisista and Evolve. Opposite of what they're doing in the Pepsi Center, if you've been watching those videos come out where they played Evolve and then Pepsi Center. Evolve and then Narcisista. Pepsi Center. They played the Pepsi Center, yes they did. And then Aftershock was they closed with Evolve, but they had to drop, it was the same songs that there were no new songs, is what I'm trying to get at. No new songs that I didn't hear at the Glass House in Pomona a few days before that. But it was a smaller set. They had to cut some songs out. They kept Que Mas Quieres in there. They didn't play Narcisista. They didn't play, I can't remember the exact set, but they dropped a few of them, right, because they had less time. They played for just over an hour at the Glass House, and they played for, like I said, 35, 40 minutes, whatever it was, at Aftershock. So they dropped a few of the songs, but it was the same set. I didn't hear anything new. I kind of wish I had, but I understand it. Those are the ones that they had rehearsed. Those are the ones that they were, and they were the smaller songs. So I wasn't expecting to hear Survive or something like that. That would take too long, basically, for the small set they had. I would have loved to have heard something like that at Pomona, but they didn't do that one. But they played a great mix at Pomona, which I really loved, of Error songs, Keep Me Fed songs, Narcisista, which is a single, wasn't on any album, and I think that's it. Now that I'm thinking back to, I should have prepared for this and reviewed the set list, but I don't think they played anything that wasn't on those two albums. But it was still a good mix. I still enjoyed it. It was a good mix. My favorite song from Keep Me Fed that we talked about, Sharks, was played. Your favorite song, Hell You Call a Dream, was played. And both of those were still played at Aftershock, which was cool. My favorite song, period, Evolve, was played, obviously, to close it. So, yeah, there were different sets, and one was a subset of the other. But I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, that feel for the different sets. I mean, were there any songs that weren't played at Aftershock that you really missed that you had hoped might have been played, knowing what you had seen, a few days earlier?
So songs that I had seen played at Pomona, or songs that I hadn't seen played at all?
Yeah, no, because I'm, and that kind of relates to the bigger question of having now seen them multiple times. We've all got our favorites from the albums and also from previously released videos. But once you got to see some of these songs played live, especially after the first two shows, was there one that really stuck out at Aftershock, or one that you missed because it wasn't played at Aftershock?
Well, one of
the Brent feel for those. One
that wasn't played anywhere that I would really like to have seen played live. Again, 6 Feet Deep, which I really dig. It's a cool song. Was premiered at Whiskey, but at that point my eardrums were like bleeding, so I didn't appreciate it. That's the right way to put it. I would have loved to have heard that played at either Pomona or at the Aftershock. And right now I'm a blur as to what was played at. I know it was a smaller set at Aftershock versus Pomona, but if I was to say something like I wish they played Z, I don't know if Z was played at Aftershock. I know it was played in Pomona. But that's a cool song too. I really dig that song. I really wish they'd played Dust to Dust, or even Dull Knives. Dull Knives would have fit at Aftershock because it's small, it's hard. It would have been a great song to play there, but I don't think they were prepared. I don't think they'd rehearsed it recently. Because if you look at their schedule, especially from Pomona to Pomona, the next day they went to LA. The next day they had one day off. They drove up and did Aftershock. Then they went back down to San Diego. Then they went up to Washington. Now they're in Canada.
They're in Canada, yeah.
They don't have, like they've said, the only time they have to rehearse and practice is the sound checks now. So they get a set down, and they might have a couple of plug and play songs, where they'll flip them in and out. But those are the only ones they've got. I'm sure they could play them, but they want to play the best they can play. And the best they can play is what they've been currently playing. So that's why you don't get a lot of variety when it's the venues are so close together, the performances are so close together. So, yeah, there's a lot of songs I would have loved to see. 6 Feet Deep, I would have loved. Dust to Dust, Dull Knives, a whole bunch. But they weren't on the cards. They weren't on the menu.
I know you enjoy what you got. It's just once you start to do a couple of shows, I don't know about you, but my mind would start to go, oh, I hope I get this one. Make sure it's in the set list for the next show I'm at.
I think if you want that, you don't want to go to two events on the same tour, because you're going to get pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, no, and that's natural. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And it was, you talk about it, was very interesting in the videos you shared from Pomona, where you basically shared the set list by giving us like 20 seconds of each song.
Yeah.
On the video thing, which again, I mentioned to you in a comment, but maybe many of the viewers might kind of go along with me or disagree with me. But while it was great, and it's always exciting when you hear the song and it's going live, but since you're only giving us a few seconds, it's like, oh, we didn't get to the good part of that one yet, So
yeah,
makes you going to go fire up your music player to hear the whole song.
Honestly, and for people who were like, put your camera down and enjoy it, I did. I have a bad memory. So what I really wanted to do was record just a few seconds of each song in the beginning, so that I would remember what they performed. And I guarantee you, right after those clips, I only did 11 seconds because several of the clips only lasted about 11 seconds. And right after them, I put the camera down and I just sat there and enjoyed the song. I didn't sit there and record the whole thing. I think I only recorded like 2 of them fully through. I think maybe Evolve. I definitely Evolve. I think I recorded all the way through, and maybe Sharks. Because they're my favorites. In fact, I think I released Sharks possibly on my channel from there. I do release Sharks and Evolve, and was it Hell You Call the Dream? I can't remember. I released 3 of them from Aftershock as well that I recorded fully from my position where I was. But honestly, that I don't feel as guilty about that, the Aftershock recordings, because like I said, they were tiny little Lego figures with my naked eye. And so the only time I saw them up close was on the big screens on either side. So filming the stage and the big screen allowed me to see them as well as I could with my own eyes. So I didn't feel bad about it. But I get what a lot of people say about, hey, put the cameras down, just enjoy it. But you know what? I create videos for a living. Well, not for a living. I create videos for a hobby. And so that's my thing, recording stuff. And also I have bad memory. So the recording helps me remember a lot of the stuff that I get. If you say, put it down so you use your own memories to recall. Well, my memory's crap. So it's not
you
as
do it
good.
the way that works for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's part of the fun of being able to do it your way too. And I appreciate that. I think we all do as fans for many of these shows where there are folks who do a very similar thing, or they release a few full-length songs from their show, or some folks even record the whole thing. And if that's what makes you happy and you're sharing it with the fandom, it's a wonderful thing that we get to experience so much of this, so many different ways. So that's what's made it, the chance to re-experience for me, since Boston was my first time seeing him. Since then, now the last several weeks with the other shows, I love to sample someone's video, even if it's not the greatest video quality or the greatest sound quality, because it brings back that feeling instantly for me of what it was like, especially if that was a song which most of them are, that they played at the set I was at. Because
they're on the same tour,
yeah, it floods back, or at least for me it does. It emotionally floods back to hearing it and seeing it all that way too. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
The cool thing was both of those events I was at, Pomona and Aftershock, people were, I found out after the fact, people were live streaming them. There's a YouTuber called Strong Dad who was live streaming both. So people, the Warning Army, whether, forget about the ethics or legality of it, the Warning Army was very appreciative, the ones who couldn't make it to those concerts, that they could tune in on some of them. And even yours, Boston, was live streamed by somebody on the crew. So that one was, I guess, legit. And a lot of the Army, including myself, tuned in for that to see what was going on there at Boston. So that was awesome.
Yeah, no, and that was really cool to have that available for me afterwards, to go back and literally knowing I was pretty close to that person who was filming. So it even amped up the feeling of what it was like to be able to do it. But I mean, that's what's been, a lot of the fun is watching it from you and the whole, Warning family, as far as being able to experience these shows over the course of several months, almost like together. An even better experience as it's been happening.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
So a curious question for you now that you've kind of got your feet under you at different size shows, kind of understand where it's all going. If they do play a show, close enough that you're going to want to go see it, whenever it might be, are you going to go for the VIP and get a chance to meet them?
That's a good question. I am an awkward, antisocial person. Well, not anti. I don't hate people, but I don't do well with new people or crowds. So it's really difficult for me to answer. In my heart, do I want to? Yeah, I want to. I want to be able to have the experience of meeting them. Do I feel uneasy about it? Yes, because I'm a nervous, awkward person. So I don't know. I think what will happen is I will get a moment of courage if that happens, and I will try to click the button, and odds are it'll be sold out, like it always is. So I don't know, because I did
that firsthand myself too. I know what you think. I blinked, I thought about it, it was gone. Yep,
I did that with Pomona. Pomona came up, and I'm like, VIP, yes, click. Oh, sold out. Oh, dang it. Because I asked the people on my YouTube channel, as I was doing some reactions, I said, should I do the meet and greet? And they were like, are you crazy? Yes, do it. And I said, well, I don't know what to say to them, or just do it. So I probably would say something really awkward, like I love you guys. That's it. Let's get a picture.
Gotta go. You're really good.
Yeah, I don't know that I would even bring anything for them to sign, because maybe I would. Maybe I'd bring my whiskey. I got a shirt from being at the whiskey. Maybe I'd bring that and see if they could sign it. Although it's a black shirt, so we need like silver ink or something. But I don't even know what I would have them sign, really. I've got signed copies of their albums. I've got Error signed. I've got Keep Me Fed signed. I've got
hands on a poster, maybe.
I've got posters signed that I got as part of my VIP Patreon.
Okay, all right.
So I guess I do have some other posters that I bought. Not too many. I have a couple, like the Japanese tour. I have that poster, and the Error tour. Oh, the Error tour I might even be signed, because I think that came with my. No, it didn't. I think I bought that, so maybe I would. I don't know, but I don't even know what I would get signed, because they will sign stuff for you, sign something for you. By the way, in case you're curious, they don't sign instruments anymore. They used to sign those. People would bring guitars and things, and they would sign them. But yeah, I think I would probably try to get the VIP tickets, and in the back of my mind, hope that I'm too late. And if I get it, I'll be like, "Oh God, what do I do? What do I do?"
Good kind of problem to have. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I understand that. Again, like any other part of the different shows, everybody's got their own way to do it. So that's why.
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Yep.
That's what a lot of fans, especially commenters on YouTube, need to understand is everybody's different. So maybe they're not just like you.
Yep. No, that's what made it great.
Yep.
Oh, that's great, Brent. Sounds like you had some amazing times. I'm so glad you got to do it, and really appreciate all that you share on your channel too. So,
yeah,
thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I did record some vloggy stuff, a couple of before I entered Pomona on the road and after Pomona. I don't know where I'm going to use that because I also wanted to do this interview with you, and I thought, well, I'm going to talk about everything here. So how do I use that vloggy stuff? Maybe I'll throw it in after this. On the video, maybe I'll throw in the vloggy stuff that I did, which is just me on the road saying I'm going to see them, and then me right after the concert in my car really briefly talking about the experience. So I'll throw that out. But it was really cool. I will say this about the three experiences and how they were different. In the Whiskey is, like I said, first time I'd ever been to any rock concert, let alone Warning concert, and to walk down the street in Hollywood and see the Whiskey coming up in front of me and see the sign with the Warning on it. One night only, special performance, the Warning, keep me fed, whatever it said exactly. I've got pictures of it and video on my channel. Was cool. Very cool experience. Going to Pomona and getting out of my car in the parking lot across from the venue and walking to the venue and passing by their tour truck / bus parked on the side of the street with the engine running, all the generators running and stuff. That was kind of cool. I took a picture of that, and I'll probably throw that in here too, but it'll probably appear at some point in this video. But those were kind of cool experiences, It's kind of almost surreal, but not really surreal because I expected it, but it was still kind of cool.
Yeah, no, on a similar vein too, I spent several minutes when we went to the Boston show, Big Night Live, purposely standing outside the marquee, waiting and hoping they would show the Warning up there so I could get a photo of it or get a photo of me with it, but they were showing other upcoming shows. But yeah, no, that chance to see the name of the band and at the venue you're going at is something I think a lot of folks really appreciate.
Yeah, I noticed that there were some people who, and I don't know if I pity these people or if I'm jealous of these people, probably neither. But they get to the line, like at Pomona, they got really early, very early to the venue. Mm-hmm. And they had video and photos of the Warning, of the bus pulling up across the street, not where I saw it parked, which is a different place, right across the street and coming out of their tour bus van and walking into the venue. And they've got a video of them coming in and, Charles, their security guy, carrying stuff for them, like he always does. And I'm kind of jealous of not being able to have that experience, but I also don't want to get there that early and wait in line for hours upon hours to get in. So that was kind of cool. It's cool to see other people do that.
Yeah, and it's great when folks who do that share it so the rest of us can see what it was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, Kevin, anything else? Any other questions for me?
No, I think we hit the topics I was very curious to hear about. I appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah, we've been holding off on this in case you're watching this and wondering why it's taken so long to get this video out. We've had scheduling conflicts, mostly me being able to get together, but I've been not telling Kevin much at all about this because I wanted it to be fresh. I wanted him to ask me questions and hear this fresh, but it was a great pleasure talking to you again, Kevin, today. So thank you very much for doing this and chatting with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. A lot of fun for me. I've been looking forward to it.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. And I kind of hinted at this at the beginning, but I don't think you gave a great answer. Where can people find you? What social medias are you on?
Oh, I'm on the Twitter, aka X, and Facebook, and Blue Sky, Instagram. Most of those places around if you're curious.
Bachelder.
Bachelder, or Kevin Bachelder, and most of those spots you'll be able to find me if you're interested in any of my thoughts on things.
Cool. And tuning into sci-fi-tv.com is where you can find both of us and Wendy, our other co-host.
Yep.
So that's always a fun place to be too. So anyway, thanks for coming, Kevin. And I think that's going to do it. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.
Well, the concert is over, and I am back in my truck. I'm not going to drive all the way home, since it's a little after 10:15, 10:17, and it's a 6-hour drive. So I'm going to head back to the hotel, crash, and then tomorrow, after I have lunch with a friend, I'm going to head home and edit together this little vlog so you guys can enjoy it. First impressions, it was different than the whiskey. I remembered my earplugs, which is a biggie for sure. Full set. The whiskey was all of the previously released KMF songs plus 6 Feet Deep plus Evolve. That was whiskey. This one, I took a little snippet of every single song so I can remember the set list, and I will put that together too in a separate video, just kind of like the set list of Pomona, so that you guys can see what we saw, or what we heard. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to try to get together with Kevin Bachelder again, my friend from my podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about this show too, like we talked about his show. So look forward to that. I'm going to head back to the hotel and get some sleep because my legs are killing me standing in GA. If you in a standing room only venue, no seats, and standing for not only the warning for an hour and 5 minutes, I think they played from about 9 to 10:05, and also the opening act for 45 minutes. They played from 8 to 8:45, and then standing in line for half an hour. My legs are just killing me right now, so I'm going to head back, get some sleep, and then I'll put this thing together tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.